Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mindset Spot. When you hear that jingle, it is the Mindset Spot. And today we are going to have a conversation on how do we embrace action and uncertainty at the same time so that we can unlock extraordinary achievements. And I'm joined here by my co host, Afumbom Munang. Afu, welcome. How have you
Yeah,
been?
thanks. It's very exciting to be here, and this topic, especially of embracing action and uncertainty to unlock extraordinary achievements, is something I feel like today's age really needs to be spoken about because sometimes we think that it's impossible, but we should change that impossible to I am possible.
Wonderful. I am possible. Very, very important and a nicer way to say it, because the reality is that waiting around for the perfect moment to start something can hold you back. And people often say you should wait until everything is just right before you begin. But that is not true, right? If you keep waiting, nothing changes and you will find yourself stuck in the same place. It is important, therefore, for each and every one of us who is joining us today to take action, to make the first move. And even if you don't have everything you think you need, taking that first step is how you start to make the real change. So, Afu, let's get to the business of the day with this. What would you think that is the best thing to do, or why is it important to start taking action immediately, not waiting for that glamorous moment that people always said, "Oh, I need support to learn AI. Oh, I need support to start this." Whereas the person saying he needs support to start this is on the internet, meaning that he or she already have that support, both in terms of data, both in terms of the handset, and both in terms of the platform, which is the internet already.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think that this is especially concerning in today's age. And the reason why we should start now rather than waiting for that perfect moment is because, to be frank, that perfect moment will never come. And if we keep on postponing it, tomorrow will still come and you'll still be in that same spot that you claim you'd be out of by XYZ. And to add to this, I think that a lot of people tend to fall into this trap because they see other people living glamorous lifestyles, which obviously is very motivating, but it can also be demotivating that I have to get to this spot for me to start working harder. But the thing is that the people who are living these glamorous lifestyles worked hard when nobody noticed and now they're up. So for you to also be up, you have to start now by working hard and fulfilling your dreams and passions.
Fulfilling your dreams and passions. And that is quite very, very important, because what you are saying, Afu, is it's crucial, because waiting for the perfect moment often leads to missed opportunities. And that's one point that is coming out. And I think that action, therefore, needs to be put in place, because action breeds momentum. And even small steps can lead to significant progress. It's about making the best use of the present, regardless of resources at hand. Do you think that because people use a lot of these arguments uh, to say that they cannot do anything because they do not have resources, but they're sitting on the resources? Do you think that the people now have then, especially the young people, have then been programmed to not only think with their first block that I don't have as they complain? And as they're complaining, nothing is changing, but the days are not also waiting for them, and time is only going. Could we say that's wastage?
Yeah, I agree with the fact that that is wastage because when we think about it, there's so much potential energy that's waiting to be unleashed from the youth across the continent and the youth across the world. And it's up to the individual to fulfill and to use this energy and turn it into kinetic energy. I'm just using a physics analogy. So for us to do this, we have to start looking towards ourselves and seeing what do I have to offer. And in order for us to find what we have to offer, we must discover ourselves. And once we truly find ourselves, then we can be able to use any platform that we have. And if you're watching this right now, that means you have a platform of the
Correct.
internet and digital media to portray and to showcase your message.
Very important point. And I think that that point is so important from the perspective that the attitude that you must wait to get what you want before you start, to me, is one of the most ridiculous attitude, thinking that no one can come out of something without having something. And I think this needs to be debunked. And for those of you who are joining in today, that's why we're having this topic. you must not get what you want to start. You must start with what you have. And what you have is you, right? Volunteer yourself. Get out to the community. Look at a carpenter or a bricklayer or somebody who is doing sewing and said, I don't know sewing, but I want to work for you. I want you to train me to work for you for free so that I get the skill, right? That attitude of coming together, using what we have. How many of you have gotten up in your homes and said, I want to volunteer and sweep the house and clean, and I want you to teach me how to cook. And then after you teach me how to cook, I'll cook for the rest of the days in the house. But we're only thinking and getting this attitude of what we are seeing on the internet. And this is unacceptable because many of us, and mostly young people, are told to wait for the time that they get what they have to get before they start. And this is a false narrative. Yes, it is. And when you wait, what change? Nothing. But you just feel comfortable. It's like sleeping. Instead of getting up at 5 a.m., you get up at 10 a.m. What changed? You lost time. What changed in you? Nothing. Yeah. So nothing, and the waiting continues. So we must be able to understand that to grasp the extraordinary, one must be willing to release the ordinary, even if it means navigating the unpredictable terrain of financial ambiguity. Afu, what do you have to say, since financial resources has become the key pace setter, that if it is not there, nothing gets done? Should people wait expecting to be where things happen because they have had money, or should they start with what they have?
Yeah, this is a really good point because a lot of people are entrepreneurial by nature, and they think for them to start a business, they need to have a lot of initial capital, which, although having a lot of capital is beneficial, it's not a mandatory, it's not a must-have, right? So I think that people should start with what they have, because then if they're doing a lot with not so much, then investors and other people will be like, wow, like you don't have this much and you're making such an impact. If I give you more money, then imagine how grand of a scale you can take it to. So I think that by starting with what you have, although it may seem difficult, it's actually beneficial in the long run, because if you learn how to manage like a little amount, then once you get that big amount, you'll be able to grow exponentially.
Yes, Apu, let me just build on that. The truth is that the world is over 8.4 billion people as we speak today. The population of the African continent is over 1.4 billion people as we speak today. I never grew up in opportunity. I was never born into opportunity. What I learned was that you must sacrifice to be able to get out of where you are. And one of the ways to sacrifice is to offer to do things not for pay, but to do so well that you are needed, so that at least you can actually have your name pop up when there is a problem to be solved. But when we sit and said we are not going to do that until we have money, who is really going to give you money when you have not shown that you are the creme de la creme of solutions?
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. And I think that in today's world, the competition is it's at another level in every single field. So in order for you to stand out, you need something that sets you apart. And if you have nothing that sets you apart and you're expecting to be on top, that's not going to happen. So
that's correct. Yeah, you need something that sets you apart. So the point, for those who are joining in, please, we are conversing on how do we leverage what we have to get what we don't have. And so the point is, it's not a decision born out of recklessness, but of calculated audacity. And what do I mean by this? That the recognition that the risk of losing certain comfort, not sleeping long hours, not thinking you will have what you need to have to move forward, right? That is what I mean. The risk of losing certain comfort is just a small price to pay for the potential of realizing monumental dreams. And so, in the saga of thinking that you can be able to do it even without money, the willingness to cast right aside the safety net of, okay, I need to be comfortable, right? The safety net of, oh, we don't have money, right? It's not a manifestation of that. It's not important, but it's a testament to the unshakable faith that each and every one of us must be able to have in our visions. And so we must, wherever we are, declare that the pursuit of passion and purpose is worth more than the security of a predictable paycheck or a predictable what will come for me, money will come for me. And so you need to start having that embodiment of that belief that dreams are too big for us and too important to be ignored for that smallness of what we think will come. in the name of resources. So, Afu, let's get to the next question, which I think is very, very important. And that question is, before I start that, you said the only impossible journey is the one you have never begun. It was Tony Robbins who said this, and another quote is, start where you are and use what you have. Do what you can. It was Otto Ashe who stated that. But my question then becomes, what does it mean, right? For somebody who's listening from Flunkankang or from Jinkwin, where I was born, or from Bello or Njinikom or Fundong, listening to us at the moment, I have seen on television Beyonce, Jay-Z, right? I've seen all these big names out there who are they're looking up to as role models. What would you tell them to do where they are, regardless of what they've seen on television?
Well, I think that it's good to have role models, and role models can be very beneficial in terms of where you want to end up. And whether your role model is a celebrity or your role model is your village fun, it all comes down to you. And the people who you look up to had their own journey to success, and they had their own up and downs. Similarly, your journey to success will have ups and downs. So as we look up to people, we can't forget the fact that they were once like us, and they were once going through these same challenges. And although they may not be showing that and being as transparent as some others are, we have to realize that not everybody shows 100%. And because of this, we must make our own 100% by striving and working to what we have so that we too can be role model for others.
Yeah, but the reality is that the societies we do come from, the aspect of talking about role models are not really grounded on anything that is transformational in solving problems. It's about lifestyle. Why would anybody model anybody on a lifestyle that sometimes is not even real? Why should that? Should stop, right?
Well, I think that obviously that it's not good. However, what we need to realize is that a lot of people forget to realize that that lifestyle only comes from solving a challenge. If we're talking about musicians, they solve an entertainment challenge, not good music, so they created good music. Similarly, if there's a challenge, for example, no solar dryers, you can create solar dryers. So it doesn't have to be something entertainment related for you to get up. It can also be things that solving a local community challenge, which can then provide value to others and hence create that lifestyle which you like. So that means that as it comes down to it, instead of focusing on the lifestyle, focus on solving problems, because then once the problems are solved, then you can create a lifestyle for yourself that aligns with your vision.
Yeah, the truth is that I mentor young people, and one of the things with mentorship is you can only mentor with what you know and you've gone through using experience. And now with TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, anybody who lights up a camera can say anything and start becoming an expert, advising on things that they themselves have never gone through. They've only read them in books, and they have never even tried to test them themselves. Then young people pop in there and copy them, and then want to test them, and then it goes sad. What is your take on this? Because it goes back to this thing of role models. If you are a role model that have not proven, have no track record of transformation, because let's music is good, it entertains us, but music is not a solution to the problem that the world faces today. But you can leverage music to make a message that help inspire people to usher themselves into the solution space. A lot of people do that. But the point I'm trying to make here is not about music or entertainment per se. It's about a false narrative that this fakeness that we usually see display on social media sometimes make people to think that is reality and then get themselves into depression without necessarily understanding that that is the reality. And so my question then is, what is your take with this?
Well, I think you brought up a good point with expectations versus reality. And what we see today is a lot of expectations, but reality is seen as negative. But what we need to do is focus on our reality and see what we can do to solve problems and be solution makers. Because without those mindsets, without those changes in our society, then the world would just be boring, and then no value will be added to the chain of solutions. So what we need to do, we need to start with ourselves, because once we start with ourselves, we can build ourselves, and then we can then be the role models to start a chain of solutions rather than a chain of complaining.
Very good point. So letting go of the ordinary, like a stable yet unfulfilling job, can propel us towards extraordinary achievements. And it involves prioritizing passion, purpose over comfort, and this shift in focus can open doors of opportunities. So now, Afu, over to you.
Yeah, so I think so far we've seen that we need to leverage our passion rather than leverage an expectation which will not exist if we do not find solutions. So what do you have to say to people who, for example, are only doing something because of external factor rather than what they really want to do?
Yeah, number one will be, first of all, you will never move an inch towards the progress destination if you are not thinking internally and using what you have. What is internal is so powerful. Your passion is internal. Dedication is self-generated. And these are so powerful tools that exude excellence wherever you are. And so external will be a no-brainer, and it will fall or fail on arrival if the internal is not rejuvenated. Passion, I'm not talking about a passion fruit in a supermarket in Costco's. No, I'm talking about that flame internally in each and every one of us that we must be able to reignite it. And passion dies if nobody, you, the individual, do not ask yourself, what am I good at? And all of you who are watching today, I ask you this question. What is it that you can get up in the morning and do? Right? And let me tell you, passion is not about listening to music. That is not passion. Passion is not about spending money. That's not passion. Passion is about drinking. That's not passion. Those are pleasures. Never ever confuse pleasure with passion. Passion is the flame in you that makes you to do that which goes beyond you but to solve a problem. And so if you get up in the morning and then you get to your machine to sew something that can help address a problem using material that can promote, sustainable fashion, that is passion, because even if you are not paid, you want to sew something to showcase. And in the course of doing that, you will be turning your passion to profit, because what you do with it, you can make money. And therefore, to answer your question in a nutshell, is that external is non-existent without internal. And so the internal, the passion becomes your fuel that takes you forward. But one aspect that I need to talk about passion is purposeful passion. Why do I need to bring that word? Passion alone is not enough. Purposeful passion outweighs passion. What is purposeful passion? It is that which you use your internal fuel to do to touch the lives of others, because the purpose of life is to be useful. And anything you use your passion to do that is not useful to others is not passion anymore. Over.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. And I think you summarized this entire passion process in a nutshell. And you simply just said that passion should be something that solves problems rather than creates problems. Because if your passion is something that creates problems, then it's a liability. And passions are meant to be assets to oneself rather than bring us down. And for my second question before we wrap up and move on to other segments is, what do you say about the influx of get-rich-quick schemes? Do you think they're true? And do you think one's passion can be a get-rich-quick scheme? Can one's passion be crypto?
The truth is this. If you've watched how the world works and you've studied the attitude of human beings, what makes people get rich, if somebody is telling you this is what can make you get rich, just look at a person and ask the person, if this is what can make you get rich, are you rich yourself, and can you be able to show your wealth so we can see? That's number one. So if he or she cannot do that, the second question should be, why are you not also taking this to your household and friends and all that to show how their lives have changed in your household, starting even with your kids? so that we can also see to believe you. The point I'm trying to make is wealth is a combination of different factors, right? There's financial wealth and there's social wealth, right? And there is human wealth, which is what we call human capital, that entails our passions, our skills, and knowledge that outweighs any kind of wealth. And human capital outweighs natural capital by 15 times, and actually natural resources by about 4 times. What am I trying to say? If somebody is killed, that person is already wealthy. It therefore means that if this aspect is not discussed and we only focus on crypto and some kind of runaway attitude of some kind of portfolios that are only excellent in pitching, because these are experts, they do pitch it in like they preach like in church, which is good for them, then definitely we're missing the point. So to answer your question is, they say if it is so such that it is so good, if it is that good, why is the person not wealthy? Who is marketing the product? That's simple answer.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good way to put it, because when we really be seeing these things about these get rich quick schemes, yes, it's good to be financially savvy. However,
Correct.
we need to look at the person who is telling us this. If the person who's telling us this is someone who, is not where they're claiming to be and claiming what this course, it's usually a course, will get you to, then it's probably too good to be true. So
Let me just interject there. That's a very good. You've triggered a very important point, and I think it's for our viewers who are watching. Please ask your questions. For those of you who are watching, play a part.
Be interactive.
Yes, be interactive. Yeah, the conversation here is about unlocking extraordinary achievements. Unlock your own.
Tell us about your achievements.
Absolutely. Yeah, embrace action. Be active. Don't just listen. Yeah, ask questions. Learn. We do this for free. Okay, this is our own innovative volunteerism. So the point is this, Afu. I want to address this point, which is usually discussed most of the time. So there is this attitude now that you hear school is scam. But the person is using English to write. That's the thing. So you are discouraging others not to go to school, but you are using English. Why don't you write using your local language and see whether anybody will understand it? How did you learn the English? Because school is not just the four corners of a classroom. You can be using your mobile phone to go online to learn. That's cool, right? This information that we're passing through here, this is school. The mindset sport is a master class sport. Yes, it is cool. It is a master class. Right. So if somebody said that school is a scam, that person is the biggest scammer. Over to you, Afu.
Yeah, and I think that like school, like you said, doesn't only have to be like high school, university. It can also be like apprenticeship trades. Like just because you're not going to just because you're not going to UT, just because you're not going to Harvard, just because you're not going to USIU, just because you're not going to like the best like formal 4-year university, that does not mean that you're not going to school. Like for example, picking up like a carpentry course or sewing, that's still a good alternative. And what we need to realize is that not everybody is on the same pathway, and that's okay. Just because you see everyone going into something, that doesn't mean that you have to go into it. And I think this leads to following the crowd and going with the flow. But eventually, if you go with the flow a bit too much, you drown. So what we need to do is, although it's good to look to others and to see what other people are doing to get inspiration, we need to also realize what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. For example, if you're really bad at math, why are you going into computer science? Like just because everyone else is going into it and you want to go into it, but does it really align with your strength? If it does, go for it. But if it doesn't, we need to find something that aligns with ourselves rather than what aligns with the whole crowd.
Yeah, this is a very interactive conversation. I want to ask you this question, right? Which is, it's not really a question, it's a conversation we are having, which is this attitude of people usually trying to discourage others about school. Yeah, I was still going back to that point. Saying school is a scam, and you've explained it so importantly. What do you think caused people to go down that path? Because you see somebody, because they start to chastise school. Oh, no, it's a scam. You don't need school to get rich. School is not just about to get rich. It's about to understand how the world works. It's about to understand how to read. It's about to understand how to communicate, how to write without errors, Of what says you?
Yeah, so I think that education is very powerful. And although some people think that school is a scam, that it's not. Like, you don't have to, like, education in itself is not a scam in the slightest. I think education is power. If it
Right.
wasn't power, it wouldn't be written in like the UN human rights. So what we have to realize is that education, not only formal but vocational and other aspects, is something that's really critical to us, and it allows us to see more than just our societies and to see global societies and to understand different contexts. So what I'd say to this is just realize that education is power, and whether you do it through university, through college, through apprenticeship or trades, just continuing your learning, even if you're in the market selling, that's still education because you're seeing different people, learning different people. So just continuing your pathway through lifelong learning is something that we can do rather than chastising education. And the answer to this is because a lot of people chastise education because it didn't give them what they wanted exactly. Like, for example, it didn't give them, for example, a six-figure job, and then they begin to chastise education. But what we need to realize is that although financial stability is a core point of education, education is also about learning. And a lot of people who get degrees, they don't regret them. They may regret the job opportunity, but they don't regret the learning in itself. So learning, lifelong learning, is the key to success.
It is the key to success. Of a very important point you've touched there, and I like the way you usually choreograph these. But there is this aspect which I wanted to bring in, and this interactive conversation for those of you who are joining in. This is a mindset sport, and please also be interactive in the chat so that at least we can pick some aspects from you and say it here. But for this is the point: the education is very, very important, and education is not. It doesn't only happen within the four walls of a classroom. It starts at home, and the best education is actually what we consume at home when we are young. And your example, when you were young, you were not going to school at the age 2, at the age 3. You all started at the age 4, but you were already speaking English. You were already understanding a lot of aspects. So the point I want to make is that, do you think with the advent of social media, it has been saturated with so much on I mean unverified information that people tend to consume it so much so that they end up using words like education is scam?
Yeah, 100%. And what we need to realize is that digital literacy is something that is critical and is key to surviving in this digital space. And a lot of people, unfortunately to say, are digitally illiterate. Like, they're digitally illiterate in the sense that just because they see something on a random blog post, they think that it's automatically true without checking their sources. And that's something that's very dangerous because even if it's coming from a reliable source, even if it's coming, what I like to do, I like to check from different platforms and to see from different sides of the situation so then you can base your opinion. If you're seeing something from a random blogger on Twitter, is it true? It could be, but it may not be as well because humans, we have human error. And in order to avoid spreading misinformation, we must verify our sources and check and realize that sometimes it's not intentional, but mistakes do happen. So, in order for us to have a solid understanding of situations, we must check our sources. And a lot of people forget to do this. And then this leads to, if someone's saying education is a scam, them believing it. Because if we believe everything we see on the internet, then it leads to mindsets like this, which bring systems down rather than bring systems up.
Oh, Afu, you know how to coin this. Bring systems down rather than bringing systems up. And now to the point of systems up, what can we do given that systems are done already? The attitude of entitlement, the attitude of wannabes, the attitude of waiting for perfect circumstances before we start, and the attitude of despising education is already at the bottom. What do we do to bring systems up? Systems of education, wannabes, everything, they're done. How do we elevate it? How do we climb the stairs? Let me say
Yeah, so I like how you brought the point of climbing the stairs because, like Asake said, it's lonely at the top, and if you take the elevator, it'll probably get stuck. But if you take
right.
the stairs, it may feel more tedious on your legs, but you'll be up there. So I'm using this analogy in the sense that once you climb up the ladder of success, it may be challenging. You may want to give up. You may want to sit down for a bit. You may take a break. But once you get to the top, the feeling Like, for example, those who go on hikes, the feeling of being at the top of the mountain, it just feels so surreal. And you feel so awestruck. But if we take the elevator to success, it can get stuck. There can be technical difficulties. And
Mhm.
from just using that analogy, we see that if we take the fast route to success, it's 9 times out of 10 not going to work. And do we really want to risk a 90% chance when we can do it the manual way, which it may take longer, but it's more worthwhile? No. So to answer your question, a way for us to bring these systems up is to start with ourselves. And what I mean by this is by starting by, for example, going on YouTube, learning how to do something, or paying extra attention in class, or let's say you're really into, even if you're really into like business and stuff, having other plans, being resourceful and using what you have to create economic opportunity for yourself and to create social opportunity for yourself. Because when we think about it, although economic opportunity is especially important, social opportunity, connecting with people, these are all things that can allow us to be the change makers and catalysts of change in our community. So to answer your question, I think to make these systems up, whether it's financial systems, education system, social systems, that we have to start with ourselves and realize the change we want to make. And like Nike says, just do it.
Wonderful, just beautiful. I mean, this style of mindset spot that we have come up with now, which is very conversational, is, as you're speaking, I am thinking we sometimes sound like a broken record,
Yeah, we do.
repeating ourselves, and it looks like we speak and people don't listen. Generally, on very important aspect that if the calculus could just be adjusted a little bit, the world would change in less than a few weeks. So, what do you think make people not to listen to what is right and instead listen to what is wrong, and do what is wrong with so much energy and passion than what is right?
Short answer, it's easy, but long answer, I think what we have to realize is that when we are given the choice between right and wrong, it's our human instinct to go with what's easier. And
Mhm.
generally, it's what's wrong that's easier. And what we need to understand is that although it may seem hard, we need to develop the fortitude and the courage to stand for what is correct and to stand for what is right. And for us to do this, we need to develop our own experiences and develop our own like have something that's going for us so that we can leverage these experiences to set ourselves apart, because we're all so unique that my experience is different from your experience, but all these experiences come together to promote collective change. And for us to do this, we must start with ourselves and realize that we must say no, use the power of no, which was one of our former episodes. Say no to easiness and say no to things that are too good to be true, and say yes to embracing challenges and say yes to embracing setbacks to use opportunity. And a lot of people, when they're in setbacks, they just stay down. But what we can do, for example, like a catapult or like archery, like I'm gonna use this example, like you pull it back and then it like catapults forward. So if we're at a setback, we can pretend and use the analogy of archery to set ourselves forward and be catalyst of success.
Excellent. So, are we then going to be at the bottom for quite a very long time, since ease is the biggest threat to progress and ease seems to have been embraced more than effort?
I'd hope not. If people follow this, then I think that being at the bottom won't be something that is semi-permanent. But what we need to realize is that if you're at the bottom right now, there's still hope, right? Some people lose hope when they're at the bottom, and we also have to realize when you're rock bottom, you can't really go any lower. So that means it's only up from there. And for us to get up and for us to create change and become successful, and what we need to realize on the topic of success is that success is relative. Success for a person could be, instead of selling 2 tomatoes, selling 20. And for success, for like success doesn't have to be getting a G Wagon and living in
Right.
a
Lamborghini.
8 bedroom house and traveling around the world. That can be success to you, but that does not mean that success is the same for everyone. Success for one person in a classroom could be getting an 100, but for another person, it could be getting a 75, right? So we need to know where we're coming from in our own situations for us to be catalysts of success and our own success rather than the success that society wants to perpetuate.
Yeah, I think you are bringing up a very important point, and I think I want to add to that perspective of success, which is relative, but there is success that we need to benchmark for each and everyone, which is what you do that touches lives. That if anything that anybody does that only fulfills that individual self, that's failure. And so success is about lifting others from the bottom of the pyramid, helping them to climb those stairs so that at least the system which is at the bottom at the moment can be taken to be at the top. And that is the benchmark of success that each and everyone, regardless of where they come from, how old they are, and where they are today, if you do that, which does not touch other people's life, if what you say do not inspire other people, if what you are doing, you are not also leveraging it to share so that other people can see, then you would have failed in every endeavor. And therefore, personal success can never outweigh collective success. And therefore, collective success is what you do that goes beyond you and your immediate family to touch the lives of others. And that is why the essence of innovative volunteerism that we champion, which is a common tool that everybody can self regurgitate within to be able to do something. What is it? What is innovative volunteerism? It's simply a tool where you retool your skill to solve a community problem. That's usefulness. And that's if you do that by turning waste into burgers, into briquettes that help a community to move away from charcoal and start using clean solutions, you would have succeeded. That is success, that you've touched a life. And therefore, I would bring up this point to me was a very beautiful way for us to end this conversation because the social media, and this has become like our point on any discussion, which will always remain. The social media footprint that is there seem to have made people to think that it's about showcasing just themselves, which is okay. Nobody is trying to gainsay that, but forgetting to know the immediate impact of what will be remembered after they are no longer there, which is about touching lives. So now the question then becomes, do you really think people care about touching lives? Because if people cared about touching life, then the conversation would be about collective effort, not individual effort.
I think that's a very good question. And I think that, yes, everyone does care about changing lives, but I think sometimes priorities get misplaced, and then it leads to people seeming as if they don't care. But what we need to do is, because I genuinely think that everyone in one way or another wants to touch lives. Like even working at McDonald's, you're still touching lives by bringing smiles on people's faces through their coffee and their drinks, right? So I think that everyone can touch lives in their own way, and people think that the only way they can touch lives is by being a medical doctor, by being a scientist, by being like an international lawyer. Like you don't have to be in a profession like that to change lives. Even going to school and putting a smile on people's faces, that can be changing lives. So what we need to do is shift our priority from thinking big, but starting small with a big vision. And it's okay to think big, but we have to start small. And that is the essence of our episode, is that we must embrace small action and unlock extraordinary achievements by thinking big but starting small.
Very important. And actually, the example of the McDonald's you used, if you are working there for a payment, you are doing your job. So that is not necessarily touching lives. Touching lives will definitely be what you do beyond what you are paid for to then be or retailer what you are paid for so that at least it can go beyond where it was expected to touch lives. And so it's like somebody who's working in government, right? And his role is to make sure that every village have electricity. Then he or she innovated. That it's not just about every village having electricity, but that electricity can be used to add value to cassava, to add value. That is an extra ingenious approach that will need effort, dedication, and he or she is not even paid for that. So that attitude is purposefulness and also to solve a problem. So that was a very good point. And for your last point, so that we round up.
Yeah, so as we round up, I just want to tell you guys thank you for watching. And this episode was so unorthodox in the sense that we navigated success, we navigated digital literacy, we navigated even a bit of digital footprint as well.
And
And
education.
yes, in education, and based on the title, you
And the
wouldn't
scams.
expect.
And the
Yeah,
scams of money making.
and we talked about get rich quick schemes, which they're not necessarily scams, they're just a bit misleading. But I think that what we need to do is collectively change our mindset to think more solutions based rather than problems. Instead of thinking, oh, I don't have $2,000 to start this business, think of, oh, I have 200, I can use this money to get maybe a sewing machine from Amazon instead of thinking I'm going to get this big industrial machine, right? So that's just one example, but there are plenty of examples that the viewers, know best because we're not in your shoes. And we want you to do is just do it and unleash your inner passions to create transformative change, which can impact lives around you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that amazing summary of one. I think that brings us to the close of this amazing discussion today, which we've touched every aspect. But what I would like to say is very simple. Remember that every big achievement begins with a decision to try. That every big achievement begins with a decision and the courage to continue despite the odds. So let's carry the spirit of boldness from what we've discussed today and innovation into our daily lives, and that will lead us somewhere. Until then, keep dreaming, but start small. Until then, leverage your passion to turn challenges into opportunities, because that's the only way you can turn your passion to profit. And remember that success is not about individual achievements, it's about how you touch lives and solve community problems. If your words can inspire, that's success for you, because at least you've touched someone's life. If your words actually dissuade others and drain energy from people, then definitely you have a lot of work to do, because the purpose of life is to be useful. Are you useful wherever you are? Until then, let's catch up next time.
See you
Bye
next
bye.
week, guys.